My name is Andy Bentley, and the Commander's Forge is an area for me to talk about Magic and Commander in ways that I enjoy it. I'm not going to lie, this is the fourth time that I've tried recording. I was struggling with some mental issues over the weekend, and it made it really hard to sit down and focus on anything, and anything I did get recorded just didn't sound good to me. And so I scrapped it and tried again, and then scrapped it and tried again, and then scrapped it and tried again. And now I'm going to try again to see if I can get something that's at least cohesive. And today we're going to start with just a quick segment on stats. Specifically my stats from March. During the month of March, I played 15 games with 3 wins, which averages out to a 20% win rate. The deck that I played the most was Linden, the Steadfast Queen, which is arguably becoming one of my favorite decks to play because, well, it's a lot of fun. Followed quickly by my Niv Mizzet and Jegantha the Wellspring deck. As for who I played the most, that honor goes to Coyle of the Guardian Project podcast, with a total of 7 of my 15 games. Followed by Parker from their Discord with 6. And then Andy Flory from the Guardian Project podcast coming in third with 2. But yeah, that's what I have for stats. Now, part of the problem that I've had is in the back half of the episode, I can never seem to get anything that sounds right. And I know in some way it's just my head messing with me. And I'm trying to get over all of that. But then you throw in the holiday depression on top of that, and honestly, most days I just wanted to curl up and take a nap. That said, I played Among Us with Andy Flory and Dan Kraus and a bunch of Andy's friends and my sister on the new airship map. And that was a lot of fun, and I actually streamed the entire game. That said, I would like to get into streaming a little more regularly, just as another way to get myself out there. And if you wanted to check that out, it is at twitch.tv/MrBigBens. Man, I really am just a nerd on the internet, huh? Alright, we're gonna kick this over real quick, and then when we get back, we're gonna talk about some cards in Strixhaven that's coming out.
Hi, if you haven't heard about Anchor, let me tell you some of the reasons why I started using it. For one, it's free. There's no subscription fee. You don't have to pay for anything. Second, it gives you all of the editing software you need for everything you're going to do. Beyond that, it helps distribute your podcast to so many different places, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. It's amazing. Not only that, but they offer to sponsor you. Right there. That's it. Just by recording podcasts, they will pay you based on the number of listens it gets. It brings everything you need into one place. And if you want to try it out, you can download their app, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started. Now back to the episode.
And we're back. Now, looking through Strixhaven, a bunch of it doesn't really stand out to me. You know, broken blue-green stuff, but that's kind of the norm at this point. But it really got me thinking it might be time to update my Yumori deck, which is a Planeswalker tribal deck that is a control deck called Darok. And the deck itself only runs one creature besides the commander. And I'm not really looking to change that. But I did want to talk about a few cards that are coming out with Strixhaven that are very likely going to end up in that deck. And the first one is Harness Infinity. It is an instant for a generic black, green, green. You exchange your hand and graveyard, and then you exile Harness Infinity. The deck tends to try and go long, so you never know when most of your library is going to be in your graveyard with that deck. And it really just, it's expensive, it's flashy, it's big, and I want to cast it. The second one that really caught my eye was the Witherbloom Command, which is a sorcery for a green and a black, and you choose 2. Target player mills 3 cards, then you return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Destroy target non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value or CMC 2 or less. Target creature gets -3/-1 until end of turn. Target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. I can see myself casting this almost entirely every time with the first 2 modes. Probably milling myself 3 cards to try and hit a land drop. And then destroying a non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less, which is, well, let's face it, it's going to be used to blow up Soul Ring a lot. And that's really all I've got to say about it. The one downside is it's a sorcery instead of an instant. But, beggars, choosers, you know, all that. The third spell that I was looking at was Deadly Brew. It's another sorcery. It's also a green and a black. And it says each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If you sacrificed a permanent this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. So we can use this to replace a planeswalker that we've already used with a more powerful planeswalker that somebody had already killed. Or, you know, Lord forbid, the one creature we have in the deck and we need to get it back. But it's a good utility spell that helps us and hinders our opponents. Alright, after Deadly Blow, I was looking at Infuse with Vitality. This time it's an instant, but it still costs a green and a black. And until end of turn, target creature gains Death Touch, and when this creature dies, you return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. You gain 2 life. Now you might be thinking, this deck only runs 2 creatures. But it's fairly important that we keep Yumori on the board, because he helps facilitate us getting planeswalkers onto the field. I want to add this spell purely as protection for him. And there's really all there is to it. Now, the next one is one of those lessons that don't work the way people want them to work in Commander because there is no sideboard in Commander. But that said, the one I was looking at was Confront the Past. X and a black for a sorcery, and you choose one. Return target Planeswalker card with mana value or converted mana cost. X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Or you remove twice X loyalty counters from target Planeswalker and opponent controls. In this deck, it will almost always bring back a Planeswalker that an opponent had decided to remove. And it really highlights, I think, an evolution in Liliana, where she's questioning her past. God, let's just say I'm very happy that Magic has story again. Now, I'm not going to do any more dives on anything else in the set proper, and we haven't really seen the cards for the Witherbloom Commander deck, and I'm going to be doing more of a deep dive on those in my next episode. But I do want to take a quick minute to talk about the Mythical Archives. Looking through it, I don't run all of them, but I run a lot of these in decks already. And I really like this art style. The Eliminate, which I might pick one up for you, Maury. Natural Order, which I run in, I think, 3 decks at this moment. God's Willing, I have in at least 2 decks. Increasing Vengeance is in 2 decks. Negate is in 3 or 4 decks. I'm running Mana Tithe in a deck. And, that Putrefy? Channel, unfortunately, isn't really an option for us, but Cultivate, Dark Ritual, Crossing Grip, Counterspell, Snakeskin Veil. Oh boy. Swords to Plowshares. And of course, Demonic Tutor. Oh Lord. And then of course there's the Japanese Mythical Archives, which are absolutely stunning. And I would not put it past myself getting at least a copy of each of them. Just to, frame and put up on a wall. But I think that's going to do it for talking about cards for now. And as we kind of wind down towards the end of the episode here, I would like to say, if you want to support the podcast and everything else that I'm doing, you can go to patreon.com/CommandersForge. That is CMDR_Forge. And if you want to check out my stream, again, that will be at twitch.tv/MrBigBents. And if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, consider subscribing, hit the bell for notifications, hit the like button, and I will see you next time. That brings us to the end of the podcast. I would like to thank Nate and Erica Jacobs for designing my logo, and Cody Mulpey and Ian Foss for allowing me to use a sample of music from their band The Crypt. The podcast can be found on YouTube by searching Commander's Forge. The podcast is Commander's Forge, that is CMDR_Forge on Twitter. I can be found on Twitter at BentzMr, that is BENTZMR. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time, and until then, here's to fun games and sick plays.